He was the kind of man people whispered about in elevators. Powerful, untouchable. The kind of CEO whose name appeared in magazines with headlines like "The Visionary Behind the Empire" or "The Man Who Redefined Success." Adrian Cole had built a financial technology empire from nothing, or at least that's what people believed. By 41, he owned penthouses in 3 cities, drove cars most people only saw in movies, and signed deals worth more than entire small companies. He lived fast. He talked fast. He worked faster. People admired him. People envied him. People feared him. But no one truly knew him. Behind the tailored suits and confident speeches, there was a man who hadn't slept peacefully in years. A man who checked over his shoulder even in rooms he believed he controlled. A man who smiled in public and unraveled in private. And beneath all of that, hidden under layers of charm, brilliance, and arrogance, lived a secret. A secret he thought he could manage. A secret he believed he could bury. A secret that would eventually destroy everything he built. It started years earlier, not with a crime, but with a compromise. Adrian had been a young entrepreneur then, desperate to prove himself. He convinced himself that bending a few rules wasn't really wrong, especially if it meant growing the company faster. So he tweaked numbers, shifted funds, reclassified expenses, rearranged earnings, just enough to impress investors, just enough to hit targets, just enough to keep the machine running. He told himself it was temporary, but temporary became routine. Routine became dependence. Dependence became deception. And deception became identity. He built a kingdom out of lies, a kingdom that glittered on the outside and rotted at the core. No one knew. Not his board. Not his partners. Not the media. Not even his wife, Evelyn, the woman who had believed in him long before the world knew his name. But secrets demand sacrifice. And the first thing Adrian sacrificed was time. Time with Evelyn. Time with his kids. Time with the people who loved him. He replaced dinners with conference calls, laughter with strained silence, affection with absence. He didn't even notice the distance growing in his marriage, or maybe he noticed and simply ignored it, believing success would fix everything. But success only magnified the cracks. Evelyn tried to talk to him, tried to soften him, tried to remind him of the man he used to be before ambition twisted into obsession. But Adrian brushed her off every time. "I'm doing this for us," he'd say. But he wasn't doing it for us. He was doing it for him, for his ego, for his hunger, for the part of him that needed to feel invincible. The fall began on an ordinary Wednesday morning. Adrian arrived at his office, a glass tower overlooking the city, and immediately sensed something was wrong. People were whispering, avoiding eye contact, moving cautiously, like walking through a crime scene. He entered his executive suite and found 2 federal agents waiting for him. Everything inside him went cold. "Mr. Cole," one agent said, "we need to ask you some questions." His world began to tilt. He told himself it was a misunderstanding, a mistake. An audit issue. Something his lawyers could fix in a day. But then they handed him the documents. Bank statements. Email records. Internal transfers. Encrypted messages he thought were untraceable. The secret he buried years ago had finally clawed its way to the surface. And it wasn't just one crime. It was dozens, maybe hundreds. Wire fraud, securities manipulation, tax violations, embezzlement. A mountain of corruption built slowly, skillfully, and now collapsing all at once. Adrian felt the walls closing in. "What is this?" he whispered. "Evidence," the agent replied. "A lot of it." Within hours, news cameras surrounded the tower. By noon, every major network ran breaking headlines. By evening, his name trended globally, but not for brilliance, for betrayal. Investors pulled out. The board suspended him. Partners cut ties. Sponsors vanished. Enemies celebrated. By the end of the week, he wasn't a CEO. He was a suspect. And worst of all, Evelyn left. Not out of revenge. Not out of hatred. Out of heartbreak. She packed quietly while he sat on the floor of their penthouse, staring at everything he built, everything he lied to protect, all of it turning to ash. Before she walked out the door, she said one sentence that would haunt him for the rest of his life. "You didn't lose yourself now, Adrian. You lost yourself years ago." Then she closed the door gently. Not with anger, with grief. Adrian sat alone in a silent penthouse that felt more like a tomb. The world that once applauded him now despised him. The wealth he worshipped slipped through his fingers. The power he relied on evaporated. And for the first time in his entire life, he realized he had no control left. Ambition had promised him the world. But now, all it had left him with was ruin, and the terrifying question he could no longer avoid. Who am I when everything collapses? The days that followed felt unreal, like Adrian was watching someone else's life collapse from a distance. But it was his life, his choices, his destruction. Every channel replayed the same headlines. Tech CEO charged in massive financial fraud. Inside the empire built on lies. How Adrian Cole fooled the nation. His face, once used in magazine covers celebrating success, now appeared under words like criminal, fraud, deceiver, monster. He tried not to look, but everywhere he turned, the world mirrored his guilt. His friends were the first to disappear. People he had mentored, helped, funded, they cut him off instantly. Phones stopped ringing. Text threads went silent. Partners blocked his number. Influence melts fast when money and power vanish. But what hurt most wasn't the world abandoning him. It was his family. Evelyn's absence echoed louder than any headline. He walked through the empty penthouse in a haze, past the cold marble counters, the expensive furniture, the silent rooms that once echoed with his children's laughter. Now all he heard was the faint hum of the refrigerator and his own breathing. A man can be surrounded by millions and still be completely alone. He sank onto the living room floor, his back against the wall, staring at the skyline he once ruled. Now it stared back, indifferent. His lawyers met with him the next day. "You're facing decades, Adrian," one of them said flatly. "Multiple federal charges. This is serious. Very serious." Adrian nodded numbly. He barely heard the legal terms. Fraud, securities violation, misrepresentation, breach of fiduciary duty, prison, restitution, indictment, plea deal. They all blurred into one overwhelming truth. His empire was gone. Another lawyer asked, "How long have you been manipulating the numbers?" Adrian opened his mouth to answer, but his throat tightened. He didn't know where it began anymore. One lie had blended into another until the truth became unrecognizable. He whispered, "I didn't mean for it to get this big." The lawyer stared at him with cold realism. "They always say that." When Adrian finally returned home, exhaustion weighed on him like a physical force. He walked into the master bedroom and saw something that made him stop breathing. Evelyn's closet. Empty. He opened a drawer. Empty. Opened another. Empty. Pulled back the sheets. Her pillow was gone. He slid down the wall and put his head in his hands. Loss became tangible. Sharp. Heavy. Crushing. He whispered to the quiet room, "I didn't just lose my company. I lost my family." A truth he had been avoiding finally confronted him. He had betrayed more than investors. He had betrayed the people who loved him most. That night, he couldn't sleep. He wandered through the penthouse like a ghost. Every object reminded him of what he used to be, and what he no longer was. Awards on the shelf. Business books he once pretended to read. Luxury watches he wore to prove he mattered. Photographs of vacations he barely attended because he was always on the phone. He stared at a picture of him and Evelyn holding their newborn daughter. He barely recognized the man in the photo. That man had innocence. That man had dreams. That man had love. What happened to him? He poured himself a drink. Then another. Then another. But alcohol didn't drown guilt, it magnified it. By 3 a.m., he stood in front of the panoramic window overlooking the city. Lights flickered across the skyline. Tens of thousands of people living their lives. But he felt like the only man awake. He pressed his forehead against the glass. "Who am I now?" he whispered. The silence didn't answer. The next morning, he woke up on the floor with a throbbing headache. His chest felt tight. His stomach twisted with dread. He opened his laptop, a habit he couldn't break, and saw something new. Hundreds of angry messages. Threats. Accusations. People blaming him for losing their savings. Employees calling him a liar. Strangers calling for his imprisonment. He shut the laptop quickly, breathing hard. He wasn't just hated. He was despised. For a man whose entire self-worth depended on being respected, it was suffocating. Later that day, he sat in his empty dining room, staring at a table meant for family gatherings that never happened. And a thought crept into his mind. Quiet, dark, terrifying. Maybe the world would be better without me. He didn't say it out loud. He didn't have to. It hung in the air like smoke. He rubbed his face, shaking his head violently, trying to push the thought away. But it lingered. Because shame like his doesn't whisper. It suffocates. That evening, unable to bear the silence, he stepped outside and walked without direction. He ended up in a neighborhood far from his own. Old buildings, dim streetlights, a small park with a few benches. He sat down on one, exhausted, broken, empty. For the first time in his life, there were no cameras, no journalists, no employees, no expectations. Just him. And the crushing awareness of his own failures. He covered his face with both hands, shoulders shaking, breath unsteady. He whispered, "God, if you're real, do something. Because I can't keep going." He didn't know why he prayed. He hadn't prayed in years. But when a man reaches absolute despair, his soul cries out instinctively. He didn't ask for rescue. He asked for a reason to keep living. He didn't know that God was already moving, and that this bench would become the place where everything would begin again. Adrian stayed on that cold park bench until the night air chilled his bones. He didn't move, didn't speak, didn't think. For the first time in years, he wasn't strategizing, manipulating, calculating, or leading. He was just broken. The man who once commanded boardrooms with confidence now sat alone like a discarded piece of his own empire. Then he heard footsteps. Slow, steady, unhurried. An older man approached. Gray hair, weathered face, simple clothes. Someone who didn't belong to the world Adrian came from. He paused near the bench. "Is this seat taken?" the old man asked. Adrian shook his head silently. The man sat beside him without forcing conversation. The kind of silence that doesn't pressure, but heals. After a long moment, the man spoke softly. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world." Adrian huffed a bitter laugh. "I lost everything." The man nodded slowly, as if he had heard that sentence many times before. "Sometimes losing everything is the first step to finding yourself," he said. Adrian stared at the ground. "You don't know what I've done." The old man didn't look away. "Maybe not. But I know what it feels like to lose your way." Adrian exhaled shakily. "I destroyed my company, ruined people's lives, lost my family, became the kind of man I swore I'd never be. And now," Adrian swallowed, "now I don't know who I am." The man leaned back slightly. "And why do you think this happened?" Adrian opened his mouth, but no answer came. He had explanations, excuses, rationalizations, but none of them felt true anymore. After a moment, he whispered the real answer. "Because I loved being powerful, more than I loved being good." The man nodded gently. "Power has a way of blinding us. So does pride. So does success." Adrian's voice cracked. "I thought I was unstoppable." "Most men do," the old man said, "until life humbles them." Adrian felt his eyes sting. "Do you believe a man can come back from this?" he asked. "Come back as who?" the man replied. "The man you used to be, or someone new." Adrian blinked. He hadn't considered that. The man continued. "You spent years building an image, but your identity, your soul, those were neglected." Adrian looked away. "I don't know how to fix any of this." "You're not supposed to fix it," the old man said. "You're supposed to surrender." The word hit Adrian like a punch. Surrender to what? To God. Adrian stiffened. "I'm not religious." "Neither am I," the old man said gently. "But I know Jesus. And he specializes in rebuilding what men destroy." Adrian shook his head. "Jesus wouldn't want anything to do with someone like me." The old man's eyes softened. "That's where you're wrong. Jesus didn't come for successful men, Adrian. He came for broken ones. Men who reach the end of themselves. Men who realize their empire was built on sand." Adrian's throat tightened. "I lied. I cheated. I manipulated. I betrayed my wife. I hurt my kids. I ruined investors. I caused people to lose their savings. I destroyed everything." The old man placed a hand on the bench between them, not touching Adrian, but close enough to feel present. "And Jesus died for every one of those sins," he said. Adrian looked at him, stunned. "You don't know how dark it got," he whispered. "I don't need to. Jesus does." Something inside Adrian cracked. The shell he had built around himself for years. The mask he wore. The persona he crafted. The empire he built to hide his insecurity. He felt tears spill down his cheeks. "I don't deserve forgiveness," he said. "No one does," the old man replied. "That's why it's called grace." Adrian covered his face with trembling hands. The man continued gently. "Adrian, you spent your whole life chasing success, but you were chasing the wrong thing. Money won't save you. Power won't save you. Reputation won't save you. Only Jesus can." Adrian sobbed, quietly, helplessly, like a child. The old man waited, not rushing, not preaching, just being present. After several minutes, Adrian whispered, "How do I even start?" "You start," the old man said softly, "by telling him the truth you've been hiding from yourself." Adrian wiped his eyes. "What truth?" "That you can't do this alone." Those words broke him completely. He lowered his head, trembling violently. He whispered, barely audible, "Jesus, if you're real, I need you." The old man closed his eyes. Adrian continued, his voice breaking, "I can't carry this shame. I can't fix what I've done. I can't climb out of this darkness. I've ruined everything. I've ruined myself. But if you want me, if you can forgive me, please, please help me." As he prayed, the weight on his chest began to loosen. Not gone, but shifting. For the first time in his life, he wasn't in control. And for the first time in his life, he wasn't terrified by that. He felt something warm, subtle, indescribable. Not emotion, not imagination, but presence. Peace. Not the peace money brings. Not the peace success brings. But the peace of a man surrendering to someone stronger than himself. The old man opened his eyes and whispered, "Welcome home, son." Adrian inhaled deeply, the first true breath he had taken in years. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. He didn't know whether he would go to prison. He didn't know whether Evelyn would forgive him. He didn't know whether he would ever rebuild his life. But he knew one thing: Jesus had found him. And that was enough. Adrian woke up the next morning with swollen eyes and a calm heaviness in his chest. Not the crushing weight of guilt, but something new. Surrender. He didn't know how to explain it, but the world felt different. The air, the silence, even the light coming through the window. Nothing in his circumstances had changed. He was still facing charges, shame, public hatred, and a broken family. But something inside him had shifted. He felt held, not by success, not by ego, not by control, held by grace. The first thing he did that morning was open his laptop, but not to hide anything. For the first time in years, he opened it to tell the truth. His lawyer had told him repeatedly, "Adrian, deny everything. Fight everything. Do not admit fault." It was the strategy every fallen CEO took. But Adrian closed his eyes and whispered, "No more lies." He wrote an email to federal investigators. An email that would shock everyone involved in the case. "I will cooperate fully. I will confess everything. I take full responsibility for my actions." He hovered over the send button, trembling. This wasn't strategy. This wasn't image management. This wasn't a calculated move. This was repentance. And then he pressed send. He exhaled sharply, feeling a strange mixture of fear and relief. By worldly standards, he had just destroyed the last chance he had to escape consequences. But by heaven's standards, he had just taken the first step toward freedom. Later that day, he found the strength to call Evelyn. When she answered, her voice was cautious, protective. "What do you want, Adrian?" He swallowed. "I'm not calling to defend myself," he said softly. "And I'm not calling to convince you of anything." Silence. "I just wanted to tell you. I'm done lying. To you, to the board, to the world, to myself." Evelyn didn't respond. "I don't expect forgiveness," he continued. "I just want you to know I've surrendered my life to Jesus. And for the first time, I'm not hiding anymore." Another silence. Long, weighted, emotional. Finally, she whispered, "I hope it's real." "It is," he said. "And I'll prove it. Not with words, with life." She exhaled shakily. "We'll talk again eventually. I need time." "I understand," he whispered. And he did. Because restoration without repentance is manipulation. But restoration after repentance is a miracle. The next week was brutal. Agents questioned him for hours. Investigators dug through years of records. His confession accelerated everything. Prosecution, charges, court dates. His lawyers were furious. Do you realize what you've done? You've thrown away any defense you had. Adrian nodded. I'm not defending myself anymore. I'm telling the truth. They stared at him like they were seeing a stranger. And in a way, they were. One evening, overwhelmed, he returned to the small park where everything had begun. The old man was there, feeding pigeons like always. Adrian sat beside him. I confessed, he said quietly, to everything. The old man smiled gently. That's good. I might go to prison. That's possible. I might lose everything permanently. That's likely. Adrian exhaled. But for the first time, I'm not afraid of the truth. The old man nodded. The truth is the only thing that can set a man free. Adrian stared at him. You knew I'd break, didn't you? The old man shrugged slightly. I knew Jesus was calling you. And men who run from truth don't run forever. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Adrian asked something that had haunted him for weeks. Do you think my family will ever forgive me? The old man looked at him with deep compassion. Forgiveness isn't earned, Adrian. It's received. All you can do is become a man who's safe to forgive. Adrian nodded slowly. I want to be that man. Then walk with Jesus, the old man said. Every day. Not just when you feel strong, especially when you feel weak. A weight lifted from Adrian's chest. I feel like my whole life was built on sand. It was, the old man said simply, but now you're learning to build on rock. The next weeks were filled with consequences, serious ones. Bank accounts frozen, properties seized, assets liquidated, investors demanding restitution. But instead of running, instead of denying, instead of hiding, Adrian owned every mistake. He apologized publicly, not with polished PR language, but with humility. He reached out to employees personally. He contacted investors, offering restitution even if it meant losing everything. Some cursed him, some mocked him, some hung up, but some heard sincerity in his voice. One elderly investor said, I'm angry, but I also hear something different in you. I hope you find what you're looking for. He had not wealth, not reputation, not redemption from people, but redemption from God. One day, after a long meeting with prosecutors, Adrian walked back to the park. He wanted to thank the old man, the one who sat with him in his darkest hour. But when he arrived, the bench was empty. Not unusual. But this time, something felt different. He waited 30 minutes. An hour. 2. Nothing. He asked a woman walking her dog, Do you know the older man who's usually here? She looked confused. There's no older man who sits there. I walk here daily. I've never seen anyone like that. Adrian's chest tightened. He asked a jogger, a couple, an elderly lady nearby. All of them said the same thing. No, there's no man like that here. Adrian felt chills climb up his spine. He sat on the bench slowly, staring ahead as the wind moved through the trees. The memory of that first night flashed through his mind. The footsteps, the gentle voice, the uncanny timing. He whispered, "God, did you really send someone to sit with me?" A warmth washed through him. Familiar now. He closed his eyes. And he understood. The man wasn't meant to stay. The man was meant to lead him to Jesus. And Jesus would stay forever. Adrian walked home with a lighter step. He wasn't the CEO he used to be. He wasn't the criminal the world called him. He wasn't the failure he believed he was. He was a man being remade. Slowly, painfully, beautifully, by grace. And soon, he would take the next step, facing the courtroom, not as the arrogant king he once was, but as a son finally learning what it means to walk in truth. The courtroom was colder than Adrian expected. Not in temperature, but in atmosphere. A sterile place where lives were judged, futures were weighed, and truth was exposed with surgical precision. He stood as the judge entered, feeling the eyes of reporters, former employees, investors, and strangers burn into him. Months earlier, the shame would have crushed him. Today, he wasn't looking for mercy from the world. He already received mercy from someone far greater. The prosecutor listed every violation, every manipulation, every lie. Screens displayed evidence. Witnesses testified. Statements painted Adrian as a villain, a monster, a man driven by greed and arrogance. And he didn't argue. Not once. When it was his turn to speak, he stood slowly, hands trembling slightly. "I am guilty," he said plainly. "I did everything they said I did. And more. I hurt people. I betrayed trust. I lied to my family. I built success on deception. I deserve the consequences." The room fell silent. "I'm not asking for leniency," he continued. "I'm asking for the chance to make restitution, not with money alone, but with my life. I can't change the past, but with God's help, I can change who I am from this day forward." Some scoffed. Some rolled their eyes. But others listened. The judge studied him carefully. "I've seen many defendants claim sudden spiritual awakening to avoid accountability," the judge said. Adrian nodded. "I understand. All I can say is, this isn't an escape. This is surrender." A murmur spread through the courtroom. The judge took a long breath. "Because of your full cooperation, your confession, and your willingness to assist in restitution," he said slowly, "the court will allow a reduced sentence. But make no mistake, there will be prison time." Adrian felt tears burn behind his eyes. Not out of fear, out of gratitude. He bowed his head. "Thank you, Your Honor." He wasn't grateful for freedom. He was grateful for truth. His time in prison changed him more than he expected. Not because of punishment, but because of purpose. He joined a Bible study. He read Scripture daily. He met men with stories darker than his own, and told them about grace. He wrote letters to investors, to employees, to Evelyn, not asking for anything, just apologizing sincerely. Every day, he grew quieter, softer, wiser, more whole. Jesus wasn't just fixing him. Jesus was remaking him. After 18 months, he was released. Not to applause, not to fanfare, but to a quiet world that no longer recognized him. He walked out of the gates with a small bag of belongings and shoes worn thin from miles of pacing and praying. He expected no one to be there, but someone was. Evelyn. She leaned against her car, hands tucked into her jacket, eyes soft but steady. Adrian froze. "You came," he whispered. She nodded. "You wrote every month," she said. "Not excuses. Not manipulation. Not self-pity. Just truth. I needed time to see if the change was real." "And?" he asked breathlessly. She exhaled, and her voice broke slightly. "And it is." He didn't rush toward her. He didn't assume anything. He simply let the moment breathe. Finally, Evelyn stepped closer. "I don't know what the future holds," she said. "I'm not promising everything will go back to the way it was. But, if you're willing, I'd like to start again." Adrian felt tears fall freely. "I'm willing," he whispered. "More than anything." She nodded, a small trembling nod, and wiped a tear from her cheek. "Get in. The kids want to see you." The words felt unreal. The kind of miracle only God can orchestrate. They drove in silence. A gentle silence. A healing silence. When they reached the house, his children stood at the doorway, unsure, nervous. Adrian walked toward them slowly. His daughter spoke first. "Daddy, are you better now?" He knelt down, tears streaming. "I'm not the same man I was," he said softly. "Jesus changed me, and I will spend the rest of my life proving to you that I'm here. Truly here." His son hugged him first, then his daughter, then Evelyn standing behind them, wiped her eyes again. Grace doesn't erase consequences. Grace redeems them. Years passed. Adrian didn't rebuild an empire. He didn't return to boardrooms or financial wealth. He found something better. He worked for a small nonprofit helping former inmates reintegrate into society. He spoke in prisons about redemption. He counseled men trapped in shame. He told them how Jesus meets people in the ruins and rebuilds slowly, beautifully, faithfully. He never forgot the bench where he met the old man, the place where God rescued him. One evening he returned to that bench alone. The sun was setting. The park was quiet. He sat down and whispered, "Thank you for finding me when I was lost in myself." And in the stillness of that moment, he understood. He never needed the empire. He never needed the spotlight. He never needed the wealth. He needed the one who rebuilds what pride destroys. The one who breaks chains no human hand can see. The one who restores families from ashes. The one who gives new hearts to old sinners. Jesus Christ. Adrian smiled, a quiet, humble smile. He had lost everything the world cherishes and gained everything heaven offers: a new life, a new purpose, a new heart, a new beginning. He wasn't the man who built an empire. He wasn't the man who destroyed it. He was the man Jesus rebuilt.